This is Marilyn Atkinson. I'm inviting you to take a few minutes and explore what is happening in the art and science of coaching that builds module by module and allows deep integration by module 4. How are we creating something that allows us to uniquely explore our mind in a personal journey using powerful shapes, circles, triangles, diamonds, very powerful shapes, geometric wholeness, mathematical wholeness, mind wholeness, heart wholeness, self wholeness. Some of you have seen in Module 1 when we draw 4 arrows going around the outside of the diamond. And that is showing the style of coaching when people are first inspired. They're working with a project that's external to them. And they're looking, first of all, how can they get inspired about that project? That's the first part. How can they then move to implementation? That's second. How can they integrate? That's third. And how does all of that lead to inner strength, real illumination? So we call these the 4 I's of Format A, activating the achiever. This is one key shape that repeats again and again through all 4 modules, the diamond. And with the diamond, the arrow. Now, there's other shapes that repeat in every module. Every module, module 1, 2, 3, and 4, shows a different use of the wheel. With the wheel in module 1, we're working with project ideas. We're creating simple visual setup of what we want to achieve. In Module 2, we build on this. Now the wheel becomes an implementation tool as we check the skill we have in each of 8 areas or 9. And we start to notice, what do we need to build further? How can we go from level 6 on the wheel to level 7. So we put arrows on the wheel and question marks, and we show the growing skill set that a person can build for themselves and implement on that wheel. Module 3, now we work with values wheels. Now we work with wheels connected to different kinds of breakthroughs that we're doing. And we're looking at all the different levels of thinking that we can explore and develop and wheel around in on the tricycle of mind. Module 4, once again, we integrate the wheel and we use the balance wheel. We work with the success exercise, and we build different kinds of wheels. Now, let's look at the other shapes. We use many shapes throughout that we repeat again and again. The wheel is one of them, and so is the triangle, logical levels. This gives a system that shows the different inner qualities of our thinking. And we're looking at a Russian doll system of logical levels, showing who we are, why it's important, how we can do it, what specifically, and where and when. And all of this inside of a larger vision. Now with Module 2, we're using that structure to introduce vision and mission. We're using it to create multiple levels of our potential. The dreamer, the realist, and the critic show up. In Module 3, we use logical levels again to compare different styles of asking the question why and why not. We're looking at negatives and positives. And in Module 4, we're studying the meta programs and we're relating them to the logical levels. So you see, again, a shape repeated again and again. And every time we work with the logical levels, we work with a timeline. Under all these forms, we often put a timeline. In Module 1, we're working with time right now, and we're scaling that. In Module 2, we're actually looking at all the key ways we build with time, stretch time, and use it to implement well. In Module 3, now we're bringing time into our own inner state, and we're walking on a state line that links space and time together. And in Module 4, we are bridging across and using the timeline like a bridge into multiple future possibilities. We're focusing on the future and the success not only of ourselves, but everyone around us. In all the modules, we work with other shapes as well. We work with the quadrants again and again. But here we work with format A, just described, with arrows around the outside edge. And we work with how that unfolds into a balanced system, which shows up in Module 2. Here we go inside into the 4 quadrants of content, structure, process, and form. And this is very key to understand how we create mastery. As coaches, we're masterful assistants. We assist people who are building the content while we hold the structure. And we guide them with our tone of voice to dive into the process and find the flow of their own inner purpose. So the format B is all about exploring each of these areas: the content, the structure, the process, and the flow as a whole mastery system. And we use the mastery walk to take that structure all the way up to mastery. We're constantly building a bigger game, and we call that process building a bigger game. The B's, format B. So format A is all A's, activating the achiever. Format B, our diagonal shape, now goes inside to building a bigger game. Format C. Here what we're doing is working with the core of our values. And so for format C, we are focusing on the inner shape of value, how we can see beauty, see value in a very comprehensive visual way. What does value look like? What does beauty look like? And how can we see that balanced shape as a way to commune with the core? So we're working with values both physically and with our eyes and ears, feeling the value. In Module 3, we bring these all together as congruent shapes. And we look at how this is like going through that spiral dynamic shape, moving through the different levels of building a wholeness system. How we become more and more competent to become really conversant with our inner life and really conversant with the external life around us. Now, these 4-quadrant systems each have a different purpose. Each of them allows us a different kind of mastery. And with format D, called Discovering the Divine, or developing our way to real deep understanding, what we're working with is bringing language into the 4 quadrants and discovering 4 different areas of challenges relating to the inner ways we create objections and then move through them. And each of the 4 quadrants is different. Each of them allows us to approach competence in another way and allows us to move past internal dialogue in a useful way. So we have a fundamental focus on handling objections, and we can walk on the logical levels, we can walk through the state lines, we can now walk into the 4 quadrant system and explore scales that allow us to see our objections, hear them, and move past them. We're working with all these forms in different ways in each module. So with format D, we're looking at the plus of our choices. What would happen if we got a result we wanted? The minus of our choices. What won't happen if we got that result we wanted? The plus minus of our choices. What will happen if we don't get the result we want? And the minus of our choices. What won't happen if we don't get the result we want? And so, format D is all about success long term. It's about integrating everything into a structure and a process that leads to a form of integration and integrity. It's about working with a framework that allows us to see wholeness in every single part. And experience that wholeness in such a way we can step into it or on it on the logical levels or in the 4 quadrants. We can design it further and balance with it. We can build it into the future and give it to the world. So the 4 quadrants are about us, our mind, our wholeness, our perception, and they're all about the 4 modules of building that wholeness of perception. Come and take the Art and Science of Coaching to explore these 4 modules of coaching success.